to our 17th episode of the 30 years in the making. We are at the big one, the one that practically started how we know WrestleMania to be as it is. WrestleMania 17 at the Reliant Astrodome in Texas. We make the jump from about 20,000 to 67,925 people in attendance.
And I bet it's still sold out.
I'm willing to bet it did. It was a huge dome to have people
they pulled out all the stops for a big crowd.
Yeah.
They made it worth
this is what is thought to be the last WrestleMania of the Attitude Era. This is before things start to change a little bit, and let's just get into it. This is thought to be the best, so let's see what Chipmunk thought of it. I've already seen this many times. Okay, so we jump straight into it. We have a nice little video package of, you know, the showcase of the Immortals and all that crap.
As usual, yeah.
Yeah, no national anthem this time. And we jump straight into Chris Jericho as the Intercontinental Champion, defeating William Regal in 7 minutes and 8 seconds. William Regal is the WWF Commissioner at this point. And this is just an opener. Sadly, it's not Jericho's best.
It wasn't, but I did kind of enjoy it because it's the Jericho I know, the trickster Jericho.
Yeah.
And we got to see the backstory where, like, he peed in Regal's tea.
Yeah, he peed in Regal's tea.
I'm sorry to be immature, but I thought that was quite amusing.
Yeah, he dressed up as Doink and attacked William Regal dressed as Doink. During this match, Jericho, this is around the time that you could tell which wrestlers were technical wrestlers because they do the Ric Flair chops, the knife edge chops. My God, did Chris Jericho make William Regal's chest go red. It was so red. The story of the match is that William Regal is working on Chris Jericho's shoulder, and basically to stop him from being able to get to the walls of Jericho and to help Regal's finisher, which is the Regal stretch. Jericho goes for the lion salt halfway through the match, but the knees are up, and then he gets rolled up for a 2. Regal then removes the turnbuckle pad, which becomes quite a big thing during the night, and slams Jericho into it. We then get to have Jericho go for the walls, but he can't because of the shoulder, so Regal then locks in the Regal stretch, which stretches the shoulder. But thankfully Jericho gets to the ropes. We get the Bulldog by Jericho, which I think Jericho didn't have Regal in the right place because he picked him up and suplexed him completely different place in the ring. Then we get a lion salt, and that's Jericho defeating William Regal, and that's William Regal's first appearance at WrestleMania. We then go out the back to see Shane McMahon turn up. That's right. We get Shane McMahon turning up in a limo with the WCW number plate. For those of you that know, Shane McMahon, in storyline-wise, has just bought WCW. We then go to the back where we get the APA, where Bradshaw hypes up that they're in Texas, because obviously Bradshaw's the Texan. And we go straight into the next match, which is Taz and the APA defeating the Right to Censor in 3 minutes and 52 seconds. The match is basically a brawl, a massive brawl. Then Bradshaw comes in and clotheslines the Godfather, then the Good Father for the win. I'd like to say that when we get to the later matches, we might go a little bit longer, so this could become a 2-part video, just in case, just as a warning, okay? Just as a warning.
We don't even know.
Yeah, so if this video suddenly stops, hopefully we have the wherewithal to sort of like go, yeah, we'll have that as part 1, but if it just stops, it's because we've got a part 2, okay? Right, so that's them. Then we go to the back where we have Stephanie, Trish, and Linda McMahon. Linda is being pushed by Trish because Linda has had a mental breakdown and is on medication. Stephanie is basically taking the piss out of Trish, telling her that she has to do ice and bullshit like that.
Yeah, she was like, oh yeah, I want ice in my drink. And the way that I like it is when you crush it with, you know, your hand and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Oh, have I shown you my new sweatsuit?
Jumpsuit, which has Daddy's girl.
Daddy's little girl. It's just really sickening. Yeah.
For those of you that don't know, we will discuss the story just before the match. If you're a bit confused, you'll understand later. We then go into the hardcore match of the night, or as I call the batshit crazy match of the night. We have Kane defeating the Hardcore Champion Raven and the Big Show in 9 minutes and 17 seconds. Raven comes out with a massive trolley full of stuff and basically starts fighting with Kane straight away before the Big Show gets to come out. It doesn't last long in the ring at all. Kane throws Raven over the top rope, which Big Show catches Raven, and then Kane comes flying across with the top rope clothesline to knock them both down. Then they start fighting through the crowd instantly and go out the back.
Yeah.
And this is where things start to go a bit crazy. We have a moment where Big Show tries to lock Kane out with a fence with a padlock. Kane just comes along and destroys the lock straight away.
Instantly.
Yeah.
I don't think it was meant to give way that quickly.
No, I don't think so. I know a lot of things went wrong in this match that wasn't supposed to. Okay.
Everything looked like it was made out of paper, so...
Yeah, they were fighting against each other, and then all of a sudden Kane grabs Raven and just throws him through this glass window.
Wow. Oh, you know, it was, yeah.
Yeah, it was glass. Throws him through this window. And then Big Show goes to attack Kane, and they sort of fall through this door. And then they've grabbed each other by the throat, and then all of a sudden one flies across, and they go through this plaster wall. Like, literally just straight through the wall. Then they get on golf carts. This is where it started to go a bit wrong, because I know Raven was driving, and Big Show was grabbing him. What was meant to happen was they drove to the outside where the stage area was, but Big Show caused Raven to crash the golf cart, so then they had to walk from the golf cart to the stage, to which Kane gets on a golf cart and comes speeding around because he doesn't know they've crashed, and he's obviously gone too quick. And you actually hear Raven screaming pain, where Kane just runs over Raven's
that wasn't
leg.
Meant to happen.
No, not at all. He just runs over.
Can you
Raven's
imagine
leg.
if that's coming towards you?
Yeah.
That's brilliant. Did he really get hurt then? Sorry.
I don't know whether he didn't get injured, but it did hurt him. Definitely hurt him. In which they've had to sort of compromise and like fight all the way. I mean, Raven gets dragged across the table like you expect from a bar fight and stuff like that. And then the wheelie bins are thrown at Big Show's back, which looks like it catches him actually on the back. Cause
looks
it
actually pretty sore, yeah.
Yeah. Then they're finally on stage, and Big Show grabs Raven up, and then Kane big boots Big Show and Raven, and they fall off the stage and through like this glass sort of area. And then Kane dives off with an elbow and covers for the win to win the Hardcore title.
You know what? If it hadn't been for almost every other match on the card we've got left to talk about, that would have been a really memorable match for me.
Yeah. And
that almost would have been one of the contenders for match of the night, but because there's so much more to come, it was pretty good. It was entertaining.
It does get lost in the shuffle, and it doesn't help that the title changes hands, but the only title that actually is retained is the Chris Jericho one. Every other title changes hands during the night. Every single title. We then go to the back where we get Edge, Christian and Kurt Angle, where Kurt Angle is watching the footage of Chris Benoit causing him to tap out the crossface, and he's basically saying, I didn't tap out. It
wasn't
count.
An official
match. There wasn't an official referee. It doesn't happen.
Doesn't count. It's not an official Yeah.
We then see The Rock arriving. I don't know why he's late when it's WrestleMania, but he got away with it because he's The Rock. And then we go into Eddie Guerrero defeating Test in 8 minutes 30 seconds for the European title. I'm a huge fan of Eddie Guerrero, but this is such a forgettable match. So forgettable. Test, it's basically just beating down Test, and then Test hits Tilt Whirl Slam on Eddie, then turns the Tilt Whirl into a power bomb. Then Perry Saturn comes into the ring and suplex Test. Eddie dodges the big boot, but that's turned into the pump handle power slam, but for the 2 count.
There are some funny names.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Then there's a big boot, and Test goes for the cover, but then Dean Malenko comes out and pulls him off. Does that help with your funny names? Yeah. Test goes for Dean Malenko, and obviously the ref is trying to get Dean Malenko away. So Eddie Guerrero has the title, slams it over Test. 1, 2, 3. Eddie Guerrero is the new European champion. Yeah, like I said, forgettable match, especially for an Eddie Guerrero match.
Yeah, it was quite surprising actually.
Yeah. But this is basically when Eddie's still drinking really badly and that, so...
Does he get help soon?
I think he gets fired very soon. Oh. And that's when he goes to rehab.
Oh, okay, that's the wake-up call.
Yeah.
Awesome.
He actually, this is totally off topic, but he actually wrestles at Ring of Honor whilst he's in rehab, and that's when he faces CM Punk. His only match against CM Punk in a triple threat match with, I think, Rey Mysterio or AJ Styles, one or the other.
CM Punk could help him with that.
Yeah.
Straight edge.
Yeah, maybe. Right, we go backstage and we have Mick Foley, in which they ask whether he's going to be able to. He's a special guest referee for the Shane and Vince McMahon street fight, and whether he could call it right down the middle. And he says he will. And then he gets his little cheap pop, which we've got to love Mick Foley's cheap pops. Right here in Houston, Texas.
Woo!
And then Austin arrives. He's even later, especially seeing this is worse for Austin. He lives in Texas, you know. We then go into one of my favouriteest matches of all time.
I can believe that.
Kurt Angle defeating Chris Benoit in 14 minutes and 4 seconds. The story of this match is that Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit have been basically making each other tap out from their submission holds, and the way this match has the best story, maybe other than the main event in this whole pay-per-view. Okay, there's quick takedowns from the start. Then Benoit goes for his crossface really early, but Angle gets to the ropes. They continue to wrestle and just trading holds, and then Angle loses his temper and punches Benoit, and then that's when this fight turns into a brawl. Benoit gets thrown into the steps. Benoit fights back with chops, but then Angle gets the belly to belly. There's a trading of chops. They both start chopping each other, and then there's a superplex in which Chris Benoit is compared to Dynamite Kid, who he did actually style his whole wrestling ability on. That's by Paul Heyman because he's an amazing commentator. We then get the two Germans. Benoit goes for the third German, but then that's turned into the ankle lock. But Benoit then counters that and turns it into his own ankle lock. Angle manages to kick out of the ankle lock, and then puts Benoit into the crossface. But Angle then... Benoit goes for the crossface. Then Angle turns that into a pinning predicament, which is then turned into Angle's crossface. The ref then gets a bump in which Benoit locks in the crossface and Angle obviously taps because that's the heel thing to do. Then Benoit tries to get the ref up, but he gets Angle slammed, but Benoit manages to kick out a 2. Then Angle goes for the moonsault, but Benoit gets the knees up, and Benoit flies with the headbutt, but again Angle manages to kick out. And then Angle hits the low blow, and then rolls up Benoit. Benoit tries to turn it into a pinning predicament, but then Angle rolls him up and gets the tights for the win. Great match, amazing match. The reason I say it's probably got the best story is there's 3 stages to the match. The first 5 minutes, it's all about wrestling, just all wrestling.
Yeah.
And then Angle, annoyed that Benoit has managed to out wrestle Angle, turns it into a massive brawl. And then after the brawl finishes, then it's just literally them trying to outdo each other with their submission moves. What a match! Great match.
If you want an example, if you want to show somebody an example of a perfect technical wrestling match, that's it.
Yeah, it was just amazing.
Perfect.
It's just amazing to see. They need to sort of just teach people this match. It's
and the so evenly matched as well.
Yeah,
I mean, reversals, it's just like...
Yeah, I mean, this is... when we last saw Angle, he's still quite green in the sports entertainment ones. Benoit, obviously, is basically as good as Angle at his wrestling ability, and Angle is just grown as this amazing competitor, and then Angle and Benoit have some of the best wrestling matches of all time, and this is amazing.
No need for gimmicks.
No, just a straight up
straight
going
wrestling. Talent.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
Yeah.
Michael Cole is backstage with Regal, in which he asks him whether he's okay, and Regal says, "Well, of course I'm bloody not." And then
very British.
Yes, and then he comes in to find Kamala on the table, in which Kamala asks Regal to rub the moons on his belly, and
he's a bit freaked out.
Yeah, and Regal just tells him to get out.
Why is it with the wrestling that you'll have something incredible and then they always have to lower the tone, or vice versa? It's like,
I think it's their way of sort of bringing the crowd down, because that crowd loved that last match. So Angle's backstage for an interview in which I think it's Jonathan Coachman, he basically says you have to respect Benoit. Angle basically goes, I don't have to respect him, I won Benoit then attacks and locks in the crossface and gets him to tap out, and then just leaves him laying. The feud continues. We then get the only women's match on the card.
Oh, this is your favourite match of the night, isn't it?
Yeah. China defeating Ivory for the women's championship in 2 minutes 39 seconds. Pretty much a squash match. Story of the match is that Ivory broke China's neck in storyline, and then China came back, and this is her revenge match. I have a huge problem with this match because Ivory basically carried the women's division for months for this. Yeah, she was basically having matches practically every week, keeping the title, obviously in shady ways, and then China comes back, completely squashes her and makes her look like
nothing. Do you
nothing.
not think that if China had been there like before she went away, because of Ivory, she was very strong?
No, because
no?
Before,
I don't know. I mean,
well, no, you got to think that the times that we've seen China, you know, in these Wrestlemania reviews, has she ever gone for the women's championship? Has she ever been in a women's match?
But I was, unless maybe it's just an illusion. I always thought she was always quite strong. I'm not saying she's a good wrestler, but I'm saying like.
Yeah, I know. I get what you're saying, but we've only ever seen her in matches against men. So she's never been a part of the women's division. So she comes along and just basically squashes the women's division by squashing the women's champion that quickly.
Yeah.
You know, I have a huge problem.
I guess I can see.
And it's only, I think it's only like a couple of months, 2 or 3 months before China leaves and doesn't come back to the WWE. So there's just no point to it. Yeah, this is our last China appearance.
You're literally destroying someone's reputation and leaving.
Yeah, basically. So.
It's typical writing, isn't it?
Yeah. We then go backstage, in which we have Vince, Trish, Linda, and Steph. In which Michael Cole basically asks whether I can't remember what it was. Whether something was shocking. Shane buying WCW, and Vince goes, "Shocking. I will give you shocking by the end of the night." And then they just go out to the match. We then get Shane McMahon defeating Vince McMahon in 14 minutes and 12 seconds.
Surprisingly good, actually.
Yeah. This is what you do when you have people who don't normally wrestle. You have them in this sort of match. Foley is a special ref, and it's a street fight, which obviously in a street fight you can hide the flaws. Hide a lot of flaws.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah. They start the match with Vince slapping Shane. Then Steph slaps Shane before running. Steph does a lot of that in this match.
Coward.
Yeah. Shane climbs onto the guardrail, does a nice flying clothesline. Then he gets the kendo stick out onto Vince. Shane then does a diving elbow through the announce table, but Steph moves Vince at the last second, so he crashes and burns. That's when Trish comes down with Linda and basically parks Linda outside the ring, and then Trish slaps Vince, and there's a cat fight.
She's
with
sedated
Steph.
at this point.
Oh yeah, sorry, I didn't go through the story. Yeah, sorry. Basically, Vince asked for a divorce from Linda. This caused Linda to have a mental breakdown, and so she's put into a home. She's sedated. For all this time, Vince has been having an affair with Trish, right in front of Linda.
Trish is like just pushing Linda around. This
basically, it's an obvious affair. Shane comes back and basically tells Vince, "You can't be doing this to my mum." No. So that causes this match. However, on the sideline, Trish got a little bit too high for her boots. And was basically, I'm Vince's favourite, and Vince and Steph put Trish down a peg or two by like wiping her face in mop and that, and ever since then Vince basically told Trish, "You are my piece of meat," whilst Steph is daddy's little girl. So that came into the match. So when Trish turned on Vince and then had a cat fight with Steph, it kind of makes sense. Foley pulls Steph off of Trish, so she slaps Mick, which causes Mick to look at her seriously. And so she runs up the aisle and then does the horror fall over.
But she runs and then she puts her arm in the air and she literally just goes to the floor. But she's not even tripping over, she's not even pretending or like making herself trip over her feet. She literally just goes to the floor.
Yeah. So it just gives Trish a chance to
She's not even running that fast. It's like... Ugh.
Yeah.
Frustrating.
Vince goes to attack Linda, but Foley stops him, so then Vince then hits Mick with the chair. Then Vince gets Linda into the ring and puts her into the corner in this chair. Now remember, she's meant to be sedated.
She's just sat there. It's really horrible.
Yeah, and so Vince throws Shane into the ring and starts beating him up with trash cans. And he goes for the third trash can and turns his back on Linda. And Linda stands up. And the crowd goes mental.
It's like a moment from, like, I don't know, the Terminator or something.
Great. It's just
chilling, isn't
an
it?
example of great storytelling.
Ugh.
Great storytelling with a payoff at WrestleMania. And so she kicks Vince in nuts. And then Foley comes along and attacks Vince. And then Shane puts Vince in one corner, a trash can on top of him, and then goes to the other corner, and he flies coast to coast with a drop kick in the face on the trash can, and then covers for the win.
So I don't think someone's meds were working. She woke up.
No, like I said, this is a prime example of great storytelling with a huge payoff at WrestleMania, which proves that WWE can do it. So why are you not doing it this year at WrestleMania 30? Well, that's neither here nor there. So, great match, great storytelling. Vince gets his comeuppance and everything. We then go on to the tag team title match.
Oh.
Edge and Christian defeating the Dudley Boys and the Hardy Boys in 15 minutes 47 seconds in tables, ladders and chairs too.
Brilliant.
It's a great match. This is the culmination of a 2-year feud between 3 teams. We start the match quick. There's a poetry in motion onto the Dudley Boys in the corner. Edge and Christian use the ladder on both teams. There's also a drop toe hold into the chair by Edge and Christian on Jeff. Edge clothesline Matt off the ladder by using the chair to jump up. Then there's a drop kick on Edge by Jeff by using the chair to kick up. There's a leg drop and a splash off the ladder onto Christian. There's a what's up in which Bubba obviously puts down Edge. Opens his legs and Devon dives down. Devon is finally told to get the tables. Then Jeff goes to attack Bubba whilst Edge is on a table, and Bubba catches him and power bombs him onto Edge and through the table. Awesome spot. Then there's all 3 ladders up in the ring, and they all climb up. Christian and Matt fall down, but Christian just literally goes over the top of the ring and to the outside. Jeff and Devon fall, and then Bubba pushes Edge, but then his momentum also sends him flying off the thing. Then we get the debut of Spike Dudley, who comes out and Dudley dogs Edge and then does it to Christian through a table. We then get Rhino debuting, who gores Bubba before goring Matt through a table. Then we get Lita debuting, who comes out running out, but Rhino goes to attack him, but Spike stops him and low blows him, so Lita jumps onto the top rope and hurricanranas Rhino. Rhino falls into the ladder, which causes Edge to fall off the ladder. There's also a Dudley device on Rhino, and Lita, I think she does another hurricanrana onto Edge, and then she takes off her top, and then turns over into the 3D from the Dudleys.
I had to ask why she was taking her top off, whether this was just a thing.
Yeah, but it's basically she's with the Hardy Boys, and that's what the Hardy Boys do a lot. It's not just a reason they get Lita into a bra, okay?
Well, it wouldn't surprise me.
It probably is part of that as well. There's a huge ladder on the outside, and Spike and Rhino have been set up on tables, and Jeff, just like he did at the last WrestleMania, climbs up to the top and swanton bombs onto both of them. Jeff! Matt moves the ladder whilst Christian and Devon have got the titles, and they just hang there before falling off. And then this amazing spot, probably the best spot in the whole match, happens. Jeff tries to walk across the ladders. He screws it up a bit, but then he gets up and he grabs the titles, and he's trying to hold onto this ladder, and Bubba takes away the ladder. Meanwhile, the massive ladder is in the corner and Edge has climbed up. Jeff is hanging from the titles at the top of the ring, and Edge just comes flying across and spears him down to the mat.
Oh,
amazing to see. And as you're trying to recover from that, you have Bubba and Matt climb into a ladder, and I think it's Rhino pushes the ladder, and these two men fly out of the ring and go through 4 tables on the outside, and then Devon starts climbing the ladder, but Edge and Christian, with a little bit of help from Rhino, climb up and grab the titles and win. What a match. What a match. There's so many things to take out of that match. Amazing. They easily topped the last video's match.
There was just
the triangle ladder match.
There was so much to keep up with. Like, you couldn't blink. You literally couldn't blink.
No, and the first time I saw it, I thought that Lita, Rhino and Spike getting involved sort of tainted it. But now that I look back and I see it, they made it so much better because there were so many more spots they could finally do because of 3 more people being involved. And
it's just really hard. It was just incredible. Like,
it was just literally spot. It was literally spot after spot.
You can't name what's good about the match because there's too much. There's too many different bits.
Yeah.
But it was just incredible.
And that spear, oh my god, you would see that in
That's famous. I'd obviously seen that before.
Yeah, that's in every tribute video for Edge. It's a great spear, and not only that, people look at it and think that must have really hurt Jeff. It would have hurt Jeff, but it would hurt Edge as much because he'd have had to land on his knees. And
it's just really far to fall, isn't it?
Yeah, your knees do not appreciate that.
No.
Right. Then we get brought down a bit because we get the gimmick battle royal in which basically the Iron Sheik wins in 3 minutes and 7 seconds.
It's funny.
Chipmunk enjoyed some of the weird gimmicks that were in WWF, Repo Man and the Gobbledygooker, which is the chicken thing.
I got to see it. Why? Why is there somebody dressed as a turkey?
I'm going to say a turkey.
A turkey being hatched on my telly.
God.
Why is that happening?
It's nice to see Bobby Heenan. That was nice, but yeah, so stupid. Basically, to bring us down from what was a fantastic match.